G'day and welcome to A Down Under Yarn. I'm your host Fiona. I am known as Fifykins on the internet. So if you find someone called Fifykins, please say hello and join in the conversation. This is episode 35, I believe. I will double check that before I put it up, but I didn't take show notes last week or the week before, I think. I'm not sure. Anyway, I think it's 35. If not, there'll probably be something flashing on the screen. Today is Wednesday and it is the 28th of August. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. You probably hear my birds in the background. They're actually out quite a bit today. It's a fairly overcast day, we've had some overcast showery days for the last couple of days, which isn't good dyeing weather for me, but it is nice to have a bit of a change, I suppose. My hair's still a bit damp, so I do apologise for that. Week that was. I've had a pretty bad week. Those people who follow me on Plurk will know some of the stuff. I've started off Wednesday evening. Jasper hasn't been well and had a bad evening. Thursday and Friday, I just was on edge, and I have an anxiety disorder. I've got generalised anxiety disorder. I don't mind sharing that with people, which 90% of the time is under control. But I think sometimes, especially when I'm tired and when I'm busy, which I have been, I let things slide, and things were just, I could feel myself getting more and more anxious, but in hindsight I could see that was happening. Perhaps at the time I didn't necessarily recognise that. So it came to head then on Saturday when I went to drop Emmy at work, and she works at McDonald's, and as I had just pulled over, a car reversed into me. And there's not a lot of damage on the car. There's a chip on the right hand side, driver's side. There's chipped indicator light and a tiny bit of panel damage and a bit of bumper damage. Not much at all. I got out of the car, and I think it was the shock because I wasn't looking. I was saying goodbye to her. I had my head turned, saying goodbye to her, and suddenly bump. And the absolute shock, plus everything else that had been happening, just sent me into full-blown panic attack. And usually when I have a panic attack, they say it's fight or flight. I'm usually either a flight or a freeze. I either stay frozen on the spot or I run away. So I went into fight mode, and that's quite unusual for me. I went storming over to the car. It was a group of P-platers. Now, P-platers, apparently people didn't understand this. In Australia, when you get your licence, your first 2 or 3 years, you have to display P-plates on your car to show you're a new driver, a provisionary licence. It's your provisional licence. They were P-platers. They had the loud music going. The car actually smelled of alcohol. And I stormed over there, and what the F do you think you're doing? And I didn't see you there. And I said, okay. I said, I need your details. Got your licence? And I think I just suddenly turned into cop. So he handed over. I said, is this your address? No. And I said, well, what's your address? And I'm trying to type it down. Then 2 people from the side, who were standing on the side of the road in the footpath, started yelling at me and saying, yeah, you get her stuff too. Yeah, you should get her charged. She's harassing you. And I'm saying, look, can you just keep out of it? And they said, no, you're the one in the wrong. And I said, I'm sorry, these guys just reversed into me. So I've got these 2 guys who had been drinking, I will admit that, I recognise that now, who were then trying to pick on me. I'm in full-on fight mode. My anxiety levels are just rising. And then the guys in the car didn't really know what was happening. So one of them gets out and she starts abusing me as well. And I said, okay, that's it. And they said, well, you were in the wrong. I said, I wasn't in the wrong. You reversed into me. It's not a drop-off zone. And I said, I know. I had my indicator on. There were cars everywhere. You didn't have your indicator on. You're changing a story. All this stuff. And by this stage, I'm just getting more and more uptight. And they said, oh. And they said, oh, yeah. Well, so whatever it was, I said, look, I'll ring the police. So I rang the police. I rang 112, which is the emergency number. And by this stage, I then started to break down. So I'm crying on the phone to them. I said, I've got these guys abusing me because I've just been reversed into, and I told them where I was. And then one of the guys said, well, you better get your car off the road. And I said, that's what I'm doing. So I went and pulled my car in beside where the car parks were. And he was standing there, and I did it slowly. And he says, you're going to run over me. And I said, I'm not trying to run over you. And then I was waiting for the police. They rang me back to ascertain exactly what kind of car I had. And meanwhile, as soon as they heard the police were coming, these two guys nicked off. So the three people who were in the other car, they then said after a couple of minutes, oh, we're going to find them. And I said, you better go and find your witnesses. Without your witnesses, you're nothing. So, you know, that sort of stuff. But by this stage, I could feel myself hyperventilating. I felt my mouth was dry. My heart was racing. It was full-blown panic attack. So the police turn up. One of the officers gets out of the car and she says, okay, can you just tell me what happened? So I'm explaining to her exactly what happened. The other officer gets out of the car, comes around, she goes, I didn't hear any of that, you're going to have to repeat it. So I start repeating it and she goes, right. She said, so is that all? And I said, yes, these people were abusing me. And she goes over and talks to the people who were in the other car. She goes and talks to a shop owner and then comes back to me and says, the other officers, she's not saying anything at all. The driver, the main officer, comes back and she goes, well, they said that you're the one who started arguing with them and you're the one who raised your voice and swore at them. And I said, look, I'm sorry. She goes, no, see, now you're having a go at me. I said, I'm very sorry, officer. I'm having a panic attack here. I'm trying to breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth. I was really in a bad way. And she goes, well, I better call you an ambulance. And I said, I don't need an ambulance. I need to breathe slowly. I need to breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth. And she goes, well, this is just a minor traffic incident. I don't know what the matter is. Why are you so upset about it? I said, I'm having a panic attack. And I'm trying to reiterate this to her. And she goes, well, there's nothing I can do. She said, I'd charge you because you were dropping off in a wrong zone. But he reversed in. She said, I could charge him too, but the paperwork's too much. And you don't want to be charged anyway, do you? And I said, no, I don't. And they said, well, have you given them your details? I said, they refused to take my details. And she goes, well, I can't make them take your details. I said, look, that's fine. I said, I think I've got his details. They're different to what's on his license. And she goes, don't argue with me. And I said, I'm sorry. And the other officer said, look, what are you doing now? I said, I'm going to head home. And the first one goes, well, I reckon you should wait 5 minutes. You're not in any fit state to drive, are you? And I said, I'm sorry, I'm having a panic. She said, well, I'll call you an ambulance. And she was actually being, you know, quite aggressive towards me. And I said, I really just need a glass of water, please. And she goes, I don't think we can do that. So the second officer actually went into the other shop and got me a glass of water. And here's me shaking hand, trying to drink this glass of water. I went and sat on a bench, and no one, I was sobbing. And Mim was at work, so I rang him and I rang on his work number. And I said, look, I'm so sorry to interrupt. And he goes, no, it's okay. And he did a great job. I was calming myself down with my breathing, but he just said, it's okay. The car's going to be fine. You don't need to worry. As long as you're okay, no one's injured. And all that. And I finished drinking the glass of water and I sat there for about 5 minutes, but I was still in a very, very tense spot. I didn't have any Valium with me, so I didn't have anything to take for the anxiety. And I went and handed the cup back to the lady and my hand was shaking. And I said, I'm really sorry. I said, but thank you very much for the water. And she goes, you just take care, love. And I was just made to feel that I was the nutter. And that really upset me. So from then onwards, I've just had 2 or 3 days just trying to get over that. And I think when your body gets into that, when I get into the panic attack mode, it does take me a few days. So I've had a few days of going to bed with lots of Valium on board, trying to sleep. I didn't sleep at all well night before last. Last night was a bit better, but I'm still a bit on edge, but it's something I'm trying to manage. So you probably didn't need to hear any of that, but it's just an explanation of my week. I did go to Fibercrafters last Friday, which was good. I hadn't been there for a few weeks and did a bit of spinning. I actually haven't got it with me. It's inside, but I spun the second 4 ounces of my BFL. I might actually go and grab that in a minute. And I've been doing work with the election, which I find rewarding. I'm talking a lot to members of the public who are ringing up with questions, and it is pretty rewarding. I had a phone call yesterday from a gentleman with a very thick African accent, And he says, I'm getting to vote for the first time. What do I have to do? And I told him that he turns up on election day. Because in Australia, it's the rule that you have to vote. You don't know. You have to turn up to a polling place on election day and have your name marked off. Whether you vote or not, it's up to you. But you have to attend a polling place on election day or before if you're not able to get there on election day. And this guy says, I've never ever been able to cast a vote before. I just want to know I'm doing the right thing. Do I take my passport? I said, no, you don't need to. The Electoral Commission will send you a letter next week and that will have your details on it. You'll take that along with you when you go to vote. And he goes, oh, but do they know who I vote for? And I said, no, your vote's totally up to you. Whoever you choose to vote for, that's really up to you. I said, you'll be given some information as you walk in that will guide you as to how different political parties want you to fill out the ballot paper. But again, it's up to you. And the joy in his voice at knowing that he had a say, it just made my heart sing. It really did, because people complain that, oh gosh, we've got to vote for these, insert a word, we've got to vote for these people, I don't want to vote for them, they're all useless, they're all hopeless. And then you've got someone who has left their country and chosen to settle here and make a life here and is actually getting to vote for the first time. And he didn't sound young, middle-aged type voice, but the joy and the thrill that this person had at being able to take part in democracy. So anyway, that's pretty exciting. Let's move on to the knitting parts. Surprise, surprise, I don't have any FOs. I still have my whip, which is my windswept. Now this is for the Stockinette Zombies knit along and also for Camp Loopy. I've made a fair bit of progress, and I did mean to mark where I was last week. I had just separated for the sleeves last week, so I've done all of that. This is the back. This is the windswept pattern from Tin Can Knits. I love the lace detail. I really am enjoying this. And around the front, I've got stuff everywhere, so it's hard to tell, but I've come down in the V, which is what I'd started doing last week, and joined it together to make a V-neck, and I'm now going down. I think I measured it yesterday, and I've got 8 inches to go before I start the garter bind off. And I am only going to do short sleeves. It's pointless me doing long sleeves because I'd never really get to wear it. So I have used up one full ball of yarn. There's that much left of that one, and that's the third one there. I've got 2 more left. I'm thinking I'll probably use one of those at least to get down to the bottom and do the arms. When I have time to knit on this, last night, because I hadn't slept well the night before, I just couldn't focus, and I thought I don't want it. It's because it's got the lacy bits. I just thought I'm not going to do any of it, so I didn't. I'm using Shalimar yarns. It is the Breathless DK, which is 75% superwash merino, 15% cashmere, 10% silk. It's 270 yards per skein. It's a DK weight. It is just stunning. I absolutely love it. The base is just beautiful. It feels gorgeous when you're knitting with it. It's beautiful yarn to knit with. I really, really recommend this. And yeah, I am alternating skeins. You can't really see anything there, but even though it's a light colour, I thought I don't want to risk just having a splotch there. I don't think I'll alternate sleeves, but then again, I'm not going very long on my sleeves either. I might do a bit of alternation at the top. The joy of this is there is the garter band in the middle, going straight in the middle, and I'm able to alternate skeins at the start of the garter band there at least, the garter section, which is really hiding it well. You know when you're knitting the round and you're alternating skeins sometimes, especially in stockinette, and you can see little ripples? There's none of that here. So really, really happy with this. I love the lace detail. I think I mentioned that. It really is that way. It's a really pretty lace detail that's going down the front there and around the back. Will I get this done by Saturday night? It's now Wednesday. This afternoon I am working for the election, so I have this evening. When I knit on this on Monday evening, I think I did about 2 or 3 inches. I have 8 inches to go plus sleeve. 8 inches plus 2 inches of garter on the bottom plus sleeves. Now, I reckon if I can do a fair bit tonight, a fair bit tomorrow night, that leaves tomorrow. I'm not doing anything, so I've got tomorrow during the day as well. Hopefully I'm doing some dyeing tomorrow. I've then got Friday and Saturday. Saturday is looking fairly busy. I've got to run kids here, there and everywhere. So I think it's doable. I know I'm meeting up with the Cairns Ravellers on Saturday morning, I think it is. So, hey, I'll see how I go. I think I'm fairly certain I will get there because I am enjoying knitting. Now that it's in the round again, there's no long purl back rows. Although I find purling just as fast as knitting. It's just easier, I suppose, just going round and round and round. I am using, I haven't mentioned needles in a while. These are the Knit Pro metal needles. Are they the Novas? I think they're the Novas. One does keep coming unscrewed all the time, and I've tightened it up, and it just means that at the end of every row I make sure it's tight. That's just what happens when I use these. I really like these needles. I've always loved Knit Pro needles, but I do like, this is the 4mm needles. I do like the way these are, especially with this yarn. Even though it's slippery yarn and these are a bit slippery, the ends are pointy enough to make the lace just breeze past. What else was I going to say about this? There was something else. I haven't tried it on, and I didn't knit a gauge swatch. So the other day it might have been, I just measured it. I've actually got perfect gauge for stitch gauge. My row gauge is a bit off, but I don't think that's going to matter very much in the long run. It will probably mean my V is going to be a bit lower than otherwise, although holding it up I'm not sure about that. It's got to have a tank underneath or something underneath anyway because of the lacy detail. I'm not going to show off any skin or bras or anything like that, so it will definitely have that. So that's really all I've been working on. I've picked up other things here and there and knit a couple of rows, but not enough to show. So, hello, yes. Did I say it's a Silver Sage colourway? I don't know what I said. Anyway, I do have some notes today. Spinning. I'm just going to race inside and grab the bobbin so I can show you. So, back in a tick. Okay, so I am back. I think I showed you a couple of weeks ago. This was the first bobbin I did. This is the Moseley Park BFL in the Steph colourway that I picked up at the Bendigo Ship and Wool Festival. You can kind of see it there. Beautiful to spin. Really, really lovely. Beautiful prep. And it's the first time I've spun anything that's really been so colourful. I'll be interested to see what it's like when it's plied. So that's the first bobbin. This is the second bobbin that I spun mainly last Friday. I'm not sure when I'm going to get to ply these together, but hopefully soon. That's the end of it, and it's actually not very nicely spun there, but that's okay. I think this one's probably a bit thicker. I'm not sure though. I weighed them out and made sure, bit of cat hair, I made sure that they were even, so it'll be interesting to see how I go when I ply them together. They will be plied definitely this week because on Sunday it is the Carnival on Collins, which is a big festival we have here on Father's Day. It's Australian Father's Day this Sunday. And the fibre crafters have a stand there, and they say that if you'd like to sell some of your goods, you can, with I think it's a percentage going to the club. And if you're there demonstrating, they don't take as much as if you're not demonstrating. So I'm going to have a basket of my yarn there. I'm not expecting to sell very much up here in Cairns, but then again, you never know. Apparently there is someone up in Kuranda who's selling yarn at a market. So I'm looking forward to going up there at some stage to have a look. And yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to spin on the day either, but that might actually segue quite well now into acquisitions. So I had a really lovely mail day yesterday, I think it was. I'm confused. I don't know when it was because my days are just going in one into the other. I got my Into the World. If you haven't got your August club yet, you probably have because I'm probably the last person in the world to get it. Here it is. This is a Rambouillet. It's Mithrandir, which is a Lord of the Rings, I believe, from memory. Now, this is my first time actually feeling the Rambouillet, but you can see that it's pretty good colour representation. It's got beautiful greens and greys and that all the way through it. I really want to spin this up because I'm thinking it will become something for Mimel. It's sort of got his colours, so whether or not it becomes a hat or I don't know. I haven't really been able to get anything thinner than a sport weight. I'll read up on Rambouillet before I get going. Excuse me. Okay, sorry about that. So this is just lovely. I'm not sure if I want to do this on the day or not because I also got my club shipment from Yarn vs Zombies. Now, Kiki has started up a sheep tasting club, and in July the fibre is Gotland. Now, this is actually a fairly... She also threw in some little tiny, aren't they gorgeous? Some Rolex. They are just beautiful. So, got all sorts of stuff in them. Really beautifully prepared, as always from the amazing Kiki. But this is the fibre. Now, I don't know why this computer doesn't like blues and greens. This is a really stunning teal colour. And I know that the Gotland is a darker wool to begin with, so the way it's taken the dye is just beautiful. It feels fairly coarse. It's 100% Australian Gotland. I don't think it's going to be next to the Skin Soft. I am in the midst of a swap and I'm knitting a cowl for that, but I don't think I'd wear this around my neck, so I don't think I'll do that. So I'm not sure what it will become once it's spun, but I really, really want to spin it. Again, it's in the beautiful quad braid that Kiki's able to do, and she sent me a link on how to do it. It is in German, but Google Translate is your friend, so I'm looking forward to trying that out myself. So I've got that to spin as well, but then again, I've got no idea what it's going to be. So there's that. My other acquisitions. This one I meant to mention last week, and I'm really, really sorry I didn't. But the Yarn vs Zombies Zombie Knit Apocalypse happened back in June. And if you... they had a thread for those who weren't there, that if you completed a 5K and posted your time, you were going to get one of the medallions, like what they got. And my medallion arrived last week. So I've got it here now. There we are, Zombie Knit Apocalypse 2013 5K. So I did my 5Ks up and down the Cairns Esplanade. Put that on. There we go. But not only did I get that, Megan sent a beautiful, beautiful note and sent me one of the cups from there full of little samples, which I might just go through some of them. They're really, really lovely. Some of them have got codes on them. This is from Neighbourhood Fibre Company. A little tiny sample. I've never really heard of them, I suppose. Sun Valley Fibres. That's a gorgeous little sample there. And it's a beautiful base. I'm not sure what it is, but really, really pretty and beautiful colours. I have, yay, 716 knit, 716 socks. Beautiful little mini skein there. I have a pen. I love pens. I have Zombie Knit Apocalypse. Wish you were here, Kieran. I have some absolute wonder stitch markers, including the little zombie down there. There he is. Some daisy knits. Beautifully prepared little mini skein there. And an Into the World card, which is really nice. And of course now I have a new cup, which is very exciting. So thank you very much, Amy and Megan, for sending these to me. My news is that next year I am planning on being at the Zombie Knitpocalypse. I have indicated I would like to be there as a vendor. When I did my business plan up as part of my course, one of the things I had to do was forward planning and what you were going to be doing, and I've budgeted it in there. I've looked at airfares, and if I come over and sell things, I'll probably break even, and that's what I'm looking for. But I've got a couple of cunning plans to make sure that people can either pre-order some things and save on shipping. Other things, I've got a designer I'm working with that we're nutting something out as well. So it's a bit exciting. My final acquisition, there will be more on that, but I'm just saying that at the moment is my plan. Now, I'm not going to forget about, here we are, I'm not going to forget about this week, because I've had these now for, I'd say probably about a month. And they were sitting down in my car for a while, and then they've been sitting in my handbag, but my amazing Tix trinkets arrived. So I have this, which is the original Tix trinkets, and look, I'm wearing a shawl. So that bit goes on there. I chose, for my original Tix trinket, I chose a fairly neutral type of colour. There we are. You can see that on there now. I've just done that like that. Put that out of the way. But I chose a silvery crystal light colour, and you can see that is sitting very nicely. So Katie, if you'd like to pass on to your mum that I think it's absolutely amazing, and she sent a really nice note about posting to Australia, and it's my bad that I haven't put it on here before. The other one I got is a Better Than a Button, which is a shorter version, and that is in sort of olives and reds, and I actually got this to go with my vodka lemonade. You can see that there, because that doesn't have a clasp and it slips down your shoulders if you don't have it. I'm constantly doing that, so I'm really looking forward to putting that with that. So yes, now this shawl that I'm wearing, I will mention, I was actually gifted this in a swap last year, and it is just beautiful. It is yarn that has been dyed by Aussie Farmer, who is an Australian indie dyer, and I will link to her Etsy shop. She does a lot of gradient dyes using Bendigo wool mainly. This is Bendigo 2-ply, and the pattern, I had it up before, it is the Lead Light pattern by Sonia Newstead. There's 100 projects, and it's a free Ravelry pattern, and really, really pretty. And I just love it in this this gradient yarn. Beautiful dye job, beautifully knit, and I really do like this because it just sits over your shoulders. And today, where it's not overly warm but not overly cool, of course, it's just nice to be sitting out here with this on. And I have, of course, now it done up with my Tix trinket. That, I think, is all my acquisitions. Shop news. I'm just going to briefly go into some shop news. Thank you to those people who supported me last week in the update. It wasn't as big as the first week, but I wasn't expecting it to be either. Parcels have started arriving to people, and I've received some very beautiful messages. I'm glad people are liking the packaging. I put quite a bit of thought into that. And yeah, I believe that receiving yarn should be like receiving a present. So that's my philosophy behind the packaging. Couple of things. Firstly, the shop is in Australian dollars. I was originally going to do US dollars because then I'd be able to accept gift cards, because that's what Etsy says. But no, when you check the fine print, it has to be in US dollars, and you have to have a bank account in the US, which I don't have, of course. So I can't accept Etsy gift cards, and it means that I can put everything in Australian dollars. Now that means for people overseas, the Australian dollar is worth less than the US dollar. I think at the moment it's about 90 cents Australian to the US dollar, which means a US dollar will buy you about $1.10, $1.20 Australian, thereabouts. So that means that you may look at the prices and go, ooh, but once you convert them to US dollars, it's a lot better. And I encourage you also to put the postage in and to consider that as well, because I am absorbing quite a bit of the postage costs myself. So just wanted to put that out there. This week's going to be a smaller update. The other thing I wanted to say is that I'm not expecting everyone to buy. I love it when people do, but I don't want you to feel obligated to come and buy. I want you to buy something because you like the yarn and you want to do something with it, not because you feel that you need to support me. But I do like that you support me. I hope that makes sense. I don't want to be seen as being just another podcaster who's gone into a business and wants support, because I'm trying to keep a balance in the podcast, and something I'm aware of. Anyway, so did I mention the shop is called Solar Flare Fibers? I don't think I did. Anyway, this week I have a brand new base I am launching. It is a lace weight base. It is going to be called Amaterasu. Amaterasu is a Japanese Shinto goddess of the sun. All my bases are named after solar deities because, of course, I use solar dyeing techniques. So Amaterasu, which is Japanese. It is a lace base. It is 80% superwash merino, 20% silk, 875 yards per 100 grams. I've chosen to go with a thicker lace weight because personally I prefer knitting with that sort of lace weight. The cobweb lace where it's super fine, I'm scared of myself. So if people would like a 100 gram skein that's like 1500 yards, let me know and I'm sure we can work something out. Now I have 5 different colours. I will show you firstly the repeating colours that you've seen in other bases. So this is Emerald. I'll be inserting photos because it's not coming up. Greens and blues doesn't like it. Anyway, this is Emerald. You can see the variegation. It's not variegation. You can see the tonal qualities of the dye job on here, and it is beautiful. The silk in there offers such a sheen to it, but not being overly shiny, and of course gives it a bit more strength as well, and it's so soft. So that is Emerald. I have People Eater, which is one of my purples. Again, not showing up very well. And this has some tiny, I suppose, lighter sections throughout as well. Then I have 3 new colours. I have Salt and Pepper, which is a grey, some lighter grey patches, some darker grey patches throughout. I have Pretty, which is a pale pink and cream that I actually think would be gorgeous for a bridesmaids colours, but I don't know why I've come up with that. I think my bridesmaids had pink, they wore pink, and that was 20 odd years ago, almost 21 years ago. So there's that one there. And then finally I have this one, and it will have a name soon. I've got 2 mulling around and I'm just not sure which one I'm going to choose, but it is a sort of a bluey, tealy, greeny sort of colour, and again has some lighter spots through there as well. You can see there. So, and of course the darker bits. So they are the 5 colours going up this week in the lace base, the Amaterasu. The update will be Friday morning at 9:30 my time, which I know is 6:30 Central Time. Daylight saving is going to kick in sometime soon. which will keep it at 9:30 my time, but it'll be 10:30 down south in Australia. Australia goes to, 5 or 6 different time zones during daylight saving. We don't have daylight saving up here because it fades the curtains and confuses the cows. And then when we go on to daylight saving, I think people overseas go off daylight saving, so it changes everything. I think that's about it. I'm feeling a bit more relaxed, a bit calmer now than I have been in the last few days. I actually had podcast notes written out on Monday evening, but there was no way I was going to record before I felt a wee bit better. So probably not my bubbly self today. But thank you for putting up with me. Thank you again for those who come back every week. Welcome to new viewers if you've stuck with me this long. Yeah. So until next week, I'll say uru. Cheers.